Guys, I think, Angelo, we're live yet? Let's double check.
I think we're about to. We're about to. We are.
We're live. Ladies, gentlemen, Stevan Bubalo joined again with the area expert, Angelo Goutzios. Angelo, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Steve.
Monday night. And guys, something very interesting to talk about. What happened to the property price crash that was predicted, but it never came. Never came. So if everybody remembers back to earlier in the year, just after March, we all got the head up. That COVID was sweeping the world, sweeping the property market. The banks were telling us price were going to drop, what, Ange? 10, 30,
I'm predicting 50%.
30 to 40% dropped, plummeting. Property, get rid of it. It's no good. It was going to die. And here we are. It's December. Angelo, how's property prices?
Well, we're here on the beaches. It's just absolutely been amazing. I believe I'm finding more and more people at the moment, and the cause of property being pretty strong here is I don't think there's many people that have been pulling out, or I should say cashing out for the sake of just cashing out.
That's a good topic, Ange. Yeah, definitely.
COVID's actually forced, and a lot of people are selling because of COVID. And when I'm not talking financial reasons of COVID. I think a lot of them beneficial reasons, isn't it? Most of them have been stuck in a 2-bedroom unit, for example, with 2 kids in there, and now forced to work at home. It's just been forcing them to upgrade into something bigger. So we're getting a lot of people out there at the moment just getting bigger loans. Money's cheap. Taking advantage of it, going to see a broker, see what they can borrow, and from everywhere, from selling in DY to buying at Gosford to buying, Mount Colah, like in different parts. I've had a lot of my owners actually recently, where it's selling a property for $800,000-$900,000 and buying a house for about 1.2, 1.3 in those areas and getting that space. And they're finding the time now to do so is, and it's constantly happening. Getting a phone call yesterday, one of my owners just bought in Curly, going, look, we need to sell.
Yeah. So guys, look, interesting. The banks are all predicting that 30, 40% swing. Like Angelo mentioned, everybody thought there's going to be, a lot of individuals stuck and forced to sell, but really people didn't really sell. They just either moved, like you said, for their own benefit, or they kept that property and they're coming to market, now. It's interesting that we're here in December and you look at all the major banks. I did a quick printout. Everybody's estimating a big increase, well, not a big increase, but a good growth period next year. Property Data House, SQM, expecting a property jump to the Sydney market from 7 to 11% in 2021. Melbourne as well. Guys, congratulations. You're out of that lockdown. You're expected to have growth rates anywhere from 2 to 6%. I wouldn't be surprised if they're even stronger than that. And another thing that I just wanted to mention was at the peak of the COVID crisis, which was technically labelled June, 10% of loans, including mortgages, were on the payment deferral system, right? So 10% of loans were deferred under the COVID Act. Now that's down at 3.4% of loans currently being deferred. So a huge reduction in deferred payments of loans, which tells me people are getting back and the economy is bouncing back. Couple of reasons, Angelo. Obviously, Northern Beach is a great place to live. But what do you reckon?
I think look, overall, and going back to that deferral system, what I've also found as well, and this is something a bit of a hint for some people upsizing. I've actually had a few people as well being knocked back on loans because they've
listened to this.
Yeah, because
this is very important what Angelo's about to talk about.
So you've got to look at spending and our spending here in the country, because I generally like to take my holidays every 2 years and go to Europe in the middle of the year rather than taking, and I love to work over Christmas and New Year and do my holidays in the middle and have a summer in Europe. Now, that didn't happen for me. So technically we saved money. So apart from my wife spending it all, we've got, whether you decide to spend it on a renovation at home or elsewhere, some people in regards to, even that's where car sales have gone up through the roof too.
Used cars through the roof. Yeah.
So there's all this spending, I guess, on that. But what happened is a lot of people have asked, look, let's take advantage of this deferral because we don't know where we're going to be in 6 months. That money itself, whether it's deferred payments or even the other option, which is asking the bank, look, rather than paying principal and interest, can I for the next 6 months do interest only? And even that extra $1,000 you're saving now, if you ask the bank that back 6 months ago, and I've heard now this twice from my owners where they didn't need that, but they're like, we'll take advantage of it. If we can save that extra little bit of money, we'll put it away. And now what happens is they're now going to try and get loans to buy something bigger. Their banks are now looking at them and going, well, hang on, you told us that you were in strife and you basically needed help. And all of a sudden now everything's back and you're paying principal and interest and now you're asking for more money. So we've had a few people in that's actually, they didn't need that money financially. It was they're just taking advantage of, look, if we can have an interest-free, principal-free period, that we can save that bit of money. But technically your answer in that question is, are you going through financial difficulty? And that's all you got to say is yes, and that's good enough for the bank.
And the bank's now saying what? They've come back. So the bank initially said, look, it's not going to affect any of your credit ratings. It's not going to be anything on your applications in the future. But what they tell your clients, Angelo? They are. So they're looking at it as a bit of a smudge on your.
Look, if you these clients here, for example, we got them to go refinance via a different bank. A lot more work involved, but they managed to pull through.
Yeah,
both of them. So
the moral of the story was, even though the banks were saying, look, we're going to be the good guys, we're going to pass on all these benefits to keep you out of trouble. Now that hopefully you're back in the swing of things, they're still looking at it quite closely, not as freely as they suggested earlier in the year. But like Angelo said, your clients still went through another bank and ended up getting that loan and getting the property they were looking for. So guys, just something to be aware of if you're reapplying for loans. The other thing, so look, what I was going to say, Angelo, obviously Northern Beaches, you and I both love it, family focused. We believe property values here are always going up. But I think it speaks volumes about Australia as well. When you look at how the rest of the world reacted and what happened in their markets, and then Australia, I think the isolation of Australia obviously, helped us control this whole COVID situation a little bit better. But you know what? I think foreign investments saw that as well. I think expats saw that as well. And people are realising, hey, Australia's a good spot if I can to put my money, not only in real estate, but maybe in other markets as well. And I think it speaks volumes for the country, that we're quite lucky we live in such a good country, that people want to come here in the midst of everything that's going on. They still want to put their money here. And another thing about COVID that I always felt behind the scenes was that you look at Australia, you look at our history. We had the Great Depression. Obviously, we didn't have that. Our grandparents, or your grandparents might have gone through that, definitely your great-grandparents. We've had wars. We've had First World War, Second World War, major wars that Australia's been involved in. We had the recession in the late 80s. This has been deemed the largest recession since that period, and we've always bounced back. Real estate's always led the way, and it continues to lead the way. Looking back on history, a good thing.
Look, I think going on the main core topic as well, with regards to sort of where and having a big drop, I think we're looking obviously at Sydney and even Australia as a whole. And look, we can't comment on all different parts of Australia. We always like to focus on your northern beaches and speak strongly about it, because I guess we're strong believers that it's a good area to purchase in, whether it's an investment. We're now noticing, and this is where COVID's actually really come into play now, where we used to base prices on Sydney growth-wise and say, look, you're pretty safe when you're proximity to the city.
Yep.
You're close to on transport lines, so prices also, you're looking at areas like Strathfield, where you're on express transport to the city on a train. And then you're looking at your coastal environment. Now, one is proximity to the city, very important at the moment. Is that going to change? It has changed, but to everybody it's not the same. And give you an example, like even the buyers of mine that said that moved up to Gosford area, when they sold, they go, we can get a much bigger house up there. They've been called that now for quite a few years now, that they're only most likely going to be coming into work once or twice over about a fortnight. So they don't have to go into the city on a regular basis, which is like, well, if we can work from home, let's go a bit further out. And so I think the overall now is proximity to the city important to everybody, not so much. Does that mean that transport to the city, on transport lines to the city, is probably not as important? So then it leaves us with coastal. So, that's why I think we're having a lot of, and our rental market's very strong at the moment here, because we've had a lot of tenants, even from other parts of Sydney, relocate here to even whether they're trialling it, they're moving down here for a bit of a lifestyle change, being on the beach. So that's obviously in the demand, just like what Bill said as well, when he commented earlier regarding supply and demand, and it is, prices are governed by that. Right now, supply in DY, in the northern beaches, is super, super, super low. And again, now getting to the stage of getting towards the end of the year, it's the lowest it's been all year again. So your demand hasn't dropped, if not increased.
Well, demand now with banks that they've dropped the rates to an all-time low. It's only fueling that. There's still government grants out there for first home buyers. There's building grants out there too. So yeah, you're right, Angelo. Big drop in supply, but some beneficial acts put in place for the purchasers to increase that demand. Another thing that kind of relates to that is applications. So the Australian Treasury, they allow a home builders grant, and I'll give you some numbers on this. It shows that nearly 500 applications for the home builders grant were approved for each week in and out for November just gone, compared to fewer than 20 per week back in July. So it just shows you that big push into new building. Again, the grants are there to stimulate that. That's going to stimulate certain sectors of the economy, and just shows, good things ahead.
Again, it goes back to money's cheap. They know that they're not going to be going on holidays this year, probably, or next year, as in overseas international holidays, spending money back in our economy here, and that's where they're, fueling and getting. It's more important. Like, guys, if you're thinking of where you think you've got something there in regards to sort of a very strong equity behind you, go speak to your financial advisor, because it comes down at the moment with rents as well, the way they are at this stage.
It's cheaper to buy than rent, isn't it? Like a lot of places that, and even positively geared. It was so hard to get a property that's positively geared in the past, whereas today there's options out there, even in strong markets like the Northern Beaches. So great opportunity. Guys out there, Angelo, any big results that you saw out in the world over the last week or two, real estate-wise, any big sales?
I still find it's one of those. Look, I still think if anyone's looking for an investment at the moment, you're looking at this as. Normally we don't do this on this sort of thing, but to plug one of a property that I've got at the moment in Freshie, if you've got some money lying around, and if this is not too expensive, it's actually an extremely affordable price point for only as it was little as $460,000 in Freshwater. It's a small one-bedroom apartment. Rents for about $390 a week. We manage a few in the building and the one next door. One recently sold as well in the high falls too in there. For $460,000, rents $390 a week in Freshwater. It's a cracking investment. So give us a call if you are and you've got a bit of money lying around. It's a cracker buy. But yeah, look, overall results. I think at the moment, I even noticed this morning there's about 5 or 6 properties selling or just sold even today alone in DY. So the numbers are coming down, and I guess approaching the end of the year. The trend is that generally, look, a lot of agents like their holidays, whereas we tend to, like our motto is we never sleep, and we tend to sort of work and stay open every single day throughout the Christmas and New Year period, except for public holidays. And we've always found that, look, anything that's even on the market at the moment will be sold in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And a lot of other properties don't go on the market till sort of just after the Australia Day weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
We like to launch properties on the first couple of weeks of January, in the first week or so of Jan, if not earlier, because people are away, they've got time. We've always found the Christmas and New Year period, especially now where people aren't going away too much, like they might be saying going into state, or even others are coming here as well. We're finding it's always been a pretty strong. So this will be the first COVID, because everything's first COVID, I guess, first Christmas since this all happened. But the way the market's been at the moment, I think the next 3-4 weeks is going to be pretty busy.
It'll be pretty good.
Even coming up through Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in summary, I guess, guys, the projected crash of Sydney real estate didn't happen. Didn't happen because, one, we're such a great city to live in. 2, the government did a great job. 3, the interest rates were adjusted accordingly to keep that market moving. And 4, great confidence in Australia, I think, as a country, to perform, and it has performed well. Guys, great time to buy real estate. A lesson for the future. If this comes back, I wouldn't be expecting prices to drop or differ in any way. Markets are all estimated to bounce back next year. I've got a few clearance rates. These are the statistics as of 5 o'clock this afternoon. I don't know if this will come up. Hopefully it will. Victoria, 80% clearance rate over the weekend. New South Wales, 86% clearance rate over the weekend. Queensland, typically a bit of a slower property market, 65% clearance rate. South Australia, 60. Western Australia, 5 going to auction, all 5 selling with 100% clearance rate. One I like to see is the ACT, which had an 82% clearance rate. So big clearance rates. What that means is that a lot of properties selling under the hammer, and shows a very, very active property market. So, guys, good news there. One other thing I wanted to bring up, Angelo, I know you love the TV show The Bachelor. You constantly vote for who you want to get the rose week in, week out. That's a rumour going around. Bayview. There's a big home in Bayview, Minkara Road, where they filmed The Bachelor, overlooking beautiful Pittwater north-facing property. Look, details of the sale under wraps, but it was purchased back in 2016 for just over $7 million. Industry resources have told us that the property has sold for close to the asking price, which was $9.5 million. So this is a property that's been on the market for probably a year and a half. And there you go, selling just recently in this post-COVID period for a huge price of $9 million. So a lot going on out there. And so anything you want to add, mate, to that? I know a really quick one this evening with us.
Keep buying properties, guys.
It's good. Rental market's
good. Investments are strong. It's good. It's a good spot. Good times. And it's been a great year. So
just a quick tip as well for tenants, guys, if you're out there, because the rental market is so strong, as Angelo mentioned. Just a few things to help you get into real estate, into a property of your choice is, if you think you're going to like a property, you're going to look at it on Saturday, and you're bringing a printout application. Bring that with you to the property, or even apply prior to viewing the property. That way you don't have to wait to submit, your application. Agents, we love to call our owners back on a Saturday with good news to let them know that an application or an applicant has been put forward on a rental property. So quick little tip to help you guys hopefully secure a rental property, over the next few weeks.
Yep.
Angelo, beautiful. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you again, mate. And guys and girls out there, call us always here at Novo Properties. Love to help you guys 24/7.
Done. Good night all. See ya.
Have a good night. Bye.